here we go. It is Thursday, August 28th, and counting. Another day. What are you going to do with it? We only got so many left, right? You only got so many left. Well, what do I got? What's new? Sarah was total panic mode yesterday. Got me to send that message out about her store and how they're adding on 35% on the value of whatever it is being sent. So I was thinking about it last night. I go, just write down the values like $3. She's like, what? Won't we get in trouble? And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure the United States is not going to audit a Canadian for how much the hat or t-shirt is in a package. I wouldn't think. Do you think? I don't know. She goes, what if I get in trouble? Well, like, I'm pretty sure they're not going to stop you at the border and go, wait a minute, aren't you the Canadian that lied about the value of that t-shirt in the mail, the Canadian Post? Anyway, I might as well try it. Right? Why not? I don't see any harm in that myself. When you tell them how much the value is, if they're going to raise it up 35%, well, tell them it's 35% less. Hey, come here. Hold on a sec. All right. She's off to go for a walk with Mommy. Anyway, where were we? Quick note. I've been wanting to mention this for a while. I keep forgetting to. It's kind of funny, not funny, whatever. It's still a little. It could be frustrating. Looked at as being frustrating or whatever. The fact that the secrecy, the effort put forth just to keep this one topic mocked at all costs. AI. If you ever messed with AI yet, AI can do just about anything. AI could make a picture of me. AI could make a video of me with my voice without it being really me. But AI still, well, the closest they can come to creating a Sasquatch person is by using an absolute gorilla. That's it. AI will not make anything that resembles the real deal. These real people. Isn't that amazing? Sort of amazing, but not really. But still, it just shows just how important of a secret this must be. Don't you think? AI will create absolutely anything to the full detail you want, but they just can't quite come up with, the exact image of a true forest person, Sasquatch, Sabe, tribe, whatever you want to call it. They won't allow AI to do it. And you can challenge AI with various questions as well that you know the answers to when it comes to geopolitics, politics. And you won't get any straight answers. I've tried, trust me. So, just saying, the control is there no matter what, at all costs. And I think it's somewhat toned down, but there's a lot of people jumping on the comedy thing, making videos using AI. It's supposed to be depicting Sasquatch, but it's not. It's just using monkeys and gorillas. And I must have had some of those videos emailed to me, messaged to me, who knows how many thousands of times. I just don't look. I don't watch, so don't do it anymore, you guys. If you do it, don't do it anymore. I don't watch them. Yeah, it's funny, but I don't have time. I just don't have time, But it is kind of sad in a way, but it's still... When I take note of that effort, it makes me push back harder, is what I'm saying. It's like, really? So this secret, you don't want this acknowledged publicly so bad, you won't even let AI do an accurate image. It's true. Try it. Now, what do we got? Got our meat birds in yesterday, we got up 4:30 yesterday, got our meat chickens and meat turkeys. And when we went to put them in their little pen, which is a separate building, 10 feet from our egg chicken barn. I'm not even awake yet. Our chicken coop for our laying hens. It's about 15 feet from them. And Sarah filled up all the food, the feeder for them, and the water, and new shavings before they arrived. And we went and we put them in there. She goes, oh, look, there's been rats have been in here. They already ate a whole bunch of the chicken food. And I'm like, what, you greasy little bastards? So I put out some traps. It was like a kid at Christmas. And all you rural people, you know what I'm talking about. I went out to check those traps this morning with great anticipation. And yeah, I cracked a few skulls. Gotcha! There's some satisfaction, I'll tell you, when you live rural, on a farm especially, and if you've got some rats somewhere and you crack them, there's satisfaction in there, and I know you guys know what I'm talking about. My rural folk. All right, now, who do we got? Fresh out of the pan. Fresh out of the pan. This is an email titled Blue Ridge Sasquatch. Good morning. Randall here. Hope you and yours are doing well. My dad just had his 94th. He's an old Korea and Russian front vet and still getting up and moving around good. The last photos I sent you were from the game cam over the hill here where I feed the deer. It was that floating energy with the face, I believe, was Sasquatch form. Big eyes, nose, and mouth, and a few nights later, the floating fuzzy ball light out beside the deer. And 30 minutes later, 2 deer were with an illuminating white light on them. A few weeks later, I was down there pitching out 3 large cups of corn, like every night, 3:30 a.m., because I'm up all night with my dad till he goes to sleep by 8 a.m. or so. Then I do. What? Crazy. He goes to sleep at 8 a.m. What are you guys, vampires? Kidding. Lost my spot. I scattered the corn out in 3 runs. I was turning to head back up. I looked to my left, and there was the 2 big red eyes. My hair stands up, and I look straight down and say, I see ya. And I was about to step off and zap, just like someone startles you, but a shock feeling, and then gone. I said, come, boy, before something eats you. Come, boy, before something eats you to my cat. No punctuation, all right? I'll try to make it as smooth as I can. I said, come, boy, before something eats you to my cat that follows me everywhere. Head on back up to the house. Some nights I go down there and I see or feel nothing. And some nights it's like a whole body chill but weird feeling. Then I know they're out there. Over time I just speak out. I'm just feeding again. Don't spook me like the last time. A week later the cat and I are heading back in and I stop this time. I had floods on from the house. They kind of light up to a distance. I see him just past the edge of the light. What made me notice was hair lighter across the back, his shoulders like sun faded. He just stood there facing away from me about 30 yards, I guess. He's a big guy, but tall and lanky, and probably 4 feet wide across the shoulders. I just kept walking on back, telling the cat, come on, boy. I took the camera down and put on coop. My chickens are going missing. I put my chickens in the pen this year in their own little penned area. And back, it's to dog kennels together, 30 feet by 10 feet. I'm trying to make it smooth. With netting over the top. I trapped 39 coons last year and a couple of possums and 1 skunk and 1 fox. This year I've only gotten 4 coons. They were climbing up the pen door, pushing under the netting and getting in the feeder to get a chick. I got rid of the coons, and then a damn black mink kills all my chickens, bites them in the neck, and only eats a couple. Lost 15 out of 30. Then a coon gets in the pen and eats a few. I was down to 2 then. Now the full growns start disappearing out of the coop. Never a feather, like a predator would do, but the coop's shut with an auto door and a hook on the big door. Never getting anything on a camera. I finally just say when I'm down there feeding, okay, look, I count on my chickens for eggs. And to eat the chicks, I count on my chickens for eggs and to eat the ticks. And you got to stop making my chickens. You got to stop taking my chickens if this is what's going on, and I haven't had one go missing since. I was down to 6 hens and 2 fryers, 1 rooster. So now I put the cam back down on to where I'm feeding a couple weeks ago. And now there's a bright, white, floating light just over the deer's tail area. And just a few days ago, there's these trailing orbs bigger than basketballs, some going straight out and 2 going up off the same path the one's going on. I'm sending you the pics so you can show them to everyone and see if anyone else has seen this. I've got pics of bugs and birds, bats, and at night in the cams, but nothing like this. I wouldn't waste your time or mine sending them. So now back to my place in West Virginia, in Lil Alleghenies. I wrote you about Mom and I getting screamed at, surrounded by 4, I believe. We're dogmen because they started out like a wolf and then a whoop. Then owl, then oak toad, then wood hen alarming. I know I should have got Mom out of there, but I can only get there once a month and mow. And it was already 3 feet tall, and then drive back 2 hours where Dad's waiting on us. Oh, that was where your mom was scared shitless and you wouldn't go home, remember? I remember that. So, Mom passes 4 months later, and mowing was over, so I hadn't been back till November that year checking on things. Make sure nobody's broken in. And I got over my woodshed and I walked into the smell of wet dogs about head height. And it would have had to have been 10 dogs. It would have had to be 10 dogs to smell so strong and lingering. A 20-foot area there. I go back around the house, lock everything up, and drive back through where the smell was to get on road going back across the stream to put out salt blocks. I get to the first spit. It's just dark, and get out and put food on tire. Pulling myself up on truck bed and whack on a tree about 30 yards up the hill behind me. And a few pieces were scattering down through the woods towards the truck. I just hollered, okay, now this is my place. I don't bother you, and you can come and go as you please. Nobody bothering you. But this is my place. I got it to get away from the druggies and the bad people taking over the old neighborhood, and I'm not happy, or whatever that was that had my mama crying like that. We're going to fight. So if you want to be at peace here, you best leave me alone. I went on to the next spot and have to carry that block in pitch dark about 30 feet and drop it and go on. I haven't been back there till the next year, 2024, to cut a jag of wood and mow. Only thing I've heard is an owl sound that's loud enough to be the size of a cow. And it waited until I shut the mower off. My godson says that's a loud, weird owl sound. Yep, it is. It was like to let me know he's there. It wasn't an owl. It never finished like an owl and kind of muffled like an owl. Never hear a whoop or a knock or nothing, no more this summer. Want him over there or in the backwoods putting out salt or feed, so I guess all I'm dealing with now are the ones at Mom and Dad's since I've been living there the past 5 years. Endo email. There is a round ball of light caught in front of his trail camera. I'll have to put these on I'll put these in the video and make them a little larger. That's not quite light. Excuse me, that's not quite nighttime either. That's fairly light out, but the camera's in night vision mode. And there you go. Sorry to hear about your mom. And I get it, trying to get away from all the crackheads in the city, the dog shit going on in the city. You want to be left alone, but all you got to do is plead your case in a way. Just tell them flat out. Just leave me alone. Leave me alone, you know? Leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. It seems to work. Sounds like they got some respect for you that way. They just keep telling them there's boundaries. that they have to adhere to, you know? And I hope this channel is bringing you some knowledge that you can use to help deal. I think it is, isn't it? And there you go. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the club. The club of no return. The club no one ever asked to join. This next email is titled, The Silence Before an Encounter, ? Now it's titled Red. G'day, Steve. Aussie mate John again. You might remember I had the experience with the Black Panther at 10 years of age in 1966, Lang Lang, Australia. It shouldn't exist here. Steve, my recollection of my bodily movement and senses events on that day are still so memorable to me. When I sensed danger, my hearing changed, everything went quiet. I honestly think my sixth sense kicked in, blocking out all other sounds to enable me to concentrate on what really mattered. At the time, I felt that something was behind me and that I was being watched, so I stood up and scoured the bush line, noticing up the hill a black round shape in the long, light brown grass. Steve, I picked up the piece of long timber and proceeded to walk toward the shape that kept disappearing and reappearing a short distance away. The next sound I can remember was the growl and hiss as it snarled aggressively, running away from me. Steve, everything went silent from when the danger senses overwhelmed me and I raised up to look around, to when I saw the danger, I was looking for, which happens to be a panther. I hope this makes sense. It felt like my conscience just sensed danger and put me into standby mode, tuning all my senses to concentrate on unusual noises, cutting out all the rest. Steve, I don't think everything goes quiet around us. I think we do this ourselves. I think it's a coping mechanism. We probably all have it to different degrees. Our sixth sense points us in the direction to keep us safe/safer, something we've done since hitting the ground after swinging out of the trees, I guess. Just my opinion for what it's worth. Hope you're having pleasant thoughts of good times with Mr. Macaroni, as I do with my best animal mate, Golden Spaniel Spanky. If you're ever down under in Queensland, Australia, Gold Coast, hit us up for some prawns in the barbecue and a few coldies. We'd love to have a good chin wag. Keep up the shares. You're doing great work. And P.S. If and when this shitful COVID subsides, John Acton. Okay, this is an older one that I found unread. Remember I was telling you how I was searching yesterday, the other morning? Now let's talk about the sixth sense and shit going quiet just for a minute, all right? He just took me to a memory, and I'm going to share this with everybody so we can possibly make sense of what's going on there for real, which we'll see what I can come up with. Now, before I start babbling, listen to me. The sixth sense. One thing that has me confused still, a thought that goes in the back of my head on the little shelf, is when my friend, who's got a degree in psychology, and he was with me when the knife was put in my backpack. He saw me open up the backpack, and I went, holy shit. And he's like, holy shit. Anyway, the season before that, he was up north with me hunting elk, remember? And we videotaped the stomped ground and all those broken trees. And trail camera was about 9 feet up in the air, and it was spun to face the tree next to it. And then when I went to go get my quad, he heard full on, he said it sounded like sledgehammer hitting a tree. And it was coming from the direction I went to. And I didn't hear nothing. So that episode for me is really, in a way, baffling for me. That one incident, I think about it fairly often as I'm trying to make sense of it. How, and why? How and why? Is it because I'm nonstop saying, leave me alone? And I'm getting that respect? Is that why? You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, when everything goes quiet, when the shit's going down with a big predator. Listen to this one. I've shared this a long time ago, and I'm going to share it again. It's a pretty good story. All right. I got a guy beside me. We're both laying down. He's leaning on my backpack. There's a huge, huge bear. Huge grizzly. Shoots it. Bear spinning, chewing at his shoulder. Shot again. Thing drops down, runs through some water, up into the jungle. Gone. Just like that. Everything happens fast. It should have been a chip shot, easy, but a lot of people lose their shit when building up to that moment. And they just go somewhere else. Anyway, long story short, went and got the camp dog back up. Probably about, I don't know, 4 hours later, crawling on hands and knees into the tunnel, found a little chunk of meat on the rock where it went into the bush. And we're talking tunnels, this willow and dog shit tunnels. And crawling on hands and knees. Who's in the lead? Me. And I have a 7mm Magnum rifle. And got the dog. Dog's on a leash. And those guys figured the thing went straight. And there's a Y. There's a full-on right-hand turn. So they went in on... The animal went straight down that tunnel into the thick, dark jungle. And then there's a right-hand turn right away after about 20 yards. And my gut's going, nope, it's down. It went this way. My gut's telling me it went to the right. How would my gut know that? I don't know. You tell me. Those two guys went straight. I went to the right. Had the dog with me. And I'm moving along about, and I think I made it another maybe 50 yards. One drop of blood. And then I kind of let out a bit of a whistle. I always do that. We always have to communicate when you're hunting. Back and forth. I know people say, don't whistle in the woods. Never had a problem for me yet. But anyways, that's what I do. And I gave a little... I wasn't sure if they heard me or not. And then I decided, and I was coming on that trail, and there's a big pile of blow-down trees. Big ones. Like big spruce. And like full-on blown over. So the ground was flat. Then they started climbing up the mountain, right? Started climbing up the hill. And then... and against the bottom of the hill was a bunch of blowdowns. There could have been 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 of them. And how can I describe this? And how they were stacked up. So you got one goes down, the root ball comes up, and there's another one stacked on top. So you got that hole. See, like that dark hole between my arms, pretending my arms are logs, but they're flat. So you got that dark hole going in there. And before I got to that log pile, I'm like, that bear's in there. Your initial thought with your sixth sense is always correct. Just so you know, I've learned that for myself. It'll be up to you to learn it yourself. But if I can give you a heads up and push you ahead further quicker, your initial thoughts, your initial guesses, your initial decision with your sixth sense is always correct every single time. If you go against it, you lose every single time in life, in numerous decisions and scenarios, not just hunting. Anyway. It could be from dating that person, taking that job on, going fishing over there that day, or hanging right onto that highway there that day, and your gut says don't, you do it, and you get in an accident or whatever, right? I'm just saying. Your sixth sense guides you through life correctly, but we're not taught that. If we were taught that, we wouldn't go to school, right? Anyway, moving along. My gut told me there's no way that bear's not in that log pile. There's no way. I can see where I screwed up, though, innocently. It was an innocent screw-up, honest screw-up. So I let the dog go, and off the leash. And the dog goes ripping up to the bottom of the log pile, and then I could see him sniffing around. Then he went. I thought he went around the log pile and then straight up the bank. And you can't tell because the bush is so thick. You never see the dog in the bush running up the hill. It's probably, 6-8 feet deep. I'm like, huh, all right. He kept on going. Holy shit, all right. So I decided I was going to climb over top of the logs to get up the bank. It's easier instead of fighting through all that tangle all around the bottom, the fallen trees, right, and the root balls. So I get up and I climbed up onto the first log, which is horizontal, and I sat on it like sitting on a saddle on a horse, slung my leg, big log, slung my leg over to the right, my right leg, I shoot left. I shoot left-handed. My right leg went down in that dark hole, right? Between the logs. That dark, long, triangular hole. Like between my arms. But there. And my leg went in that hole. And then everything went dead, silent, and slow motion. I know there's a term for that when everything goes slow motion. Obviously, it's got something to do with our survival, but I can still see this happening like it happened 2 minutes ago. So my leg goes in the hole. I'm sitting like this. My gun's on this side. I go to, my leg is in the hole. I look down in the hole. And as I'm looking in the hole, the dog is flying up out of that dark black hole in the tree pile. And obviously in a 1/100th of a second, my brain anyways, knows what's going down. But it was so bizarre because the dog comes flying out of the hole in slow motion. Like just full on slow motion. That's how fast that dog's coming out of the hole in my mind. And the dog isn't fully even probably past me yet as I'm coming with my rifle to get my rifle barrel up and over the log, because I shoot left, it's on my left-hand side, and my right leg is down in that hole. As I'm swinging the gun down, the gun's here. I don't even have something I can use as a gun, but the gun's up in the air, but the barrel's this way, okay? I'm holding it like this. The gun. I'm bringing the gun barrel like this, and I'm looking down, and here's this great big pumpkin head, bare face. I don't know, maybe 1 foot off of my boot. Eyes locked on me, coming up straight at me. And then I swung the barrel over. It was a Browning A bolt. So the safety's right here. You just flick it right on top of the stock, and then I probably would have flicked that. I guess I flicked the safety off as the rifle's coming up and over. Now imagine how fast this is in real time. Imagine how fast this is all went down in real time. It would have been like this. Whoa, boom. That fast, right? So, whoa, dog, barrel, boom. So, Jesus. Just like that. It probably went down in half of a second, the whole thing. 1 second, and I swung that barrel over. I remember swinging the barrel over. Of course, I'm not looking in the scope. I swung the barrel over and I pulled the trigger. And then, thank God, blew the bear back down into that black hole. I couldn't see it. Couldn't hear nothing. And then, then I could hear, my God, imagine if I missed that thing, which I should have missed it. Or if I panicked and pulled the trigger as the gun's coming up, oh, shit, like many people do, they panic and lose their shit. And then imagine, I don't really think about that, but I'm thinking about it right now. If I'd have missed it, but anyway, I pulled the trigger, boom, blew him back of the hole, and then jacked another round in there, probably in the 10th of a frickin' second, and then held the barrel down, pointing down into the hole again, waiting for the next attack, and nothing happened, nothing moved. And then I remember hearing myself breathing, right? And then I can hear those guys yelling in the distance, and then the dog circled around the log pile again and went in there, and then you can hear him being tough dog now and chewing on the bear. And we went around that log pile, and it was hell to get him out of there. Got this frickin' huge thing out of there, and we put a tape measure on where the bullet hole was. The bullet hole with a tape measure. We measured it. It was, I figure, I got 4 3/4, I think, or something, between the eyeballs with the tape measure on the skull, and the bullet hole was dead center. Like, dead center on the tape measure, bullet hole between its eyes. How the hell that all went down, I don't have a clue. But I've got a whole bunch of other stories that are similar. If you guys started watching this channel way back in the day when I wasn't even talking about this subject we talk about, I got a whole bunch of stories I threw down. I should almost retell them. Probably the video quality back then was kind of shitty, but anyway, talking about the panther and everything going dead quiet, and you thinking it's on us. I think you're right. Potentially when it comes to the threat and danger and having to move quickly and make the right move and decision. Obviously, we have that within us to block everything out, hyper-focus. We're talking we must hyper-focus so fiercely that it makes everything in real time outside of our mind seem in slow motion, right? Because of the hyper-focus. Man, that shot of adrenaline has got to be so fast when you think about it. When I'm looking back at just this one incident, the speed that our adrenaline triggers our body and our mind to react to when the shit's flying is amazing. I don't even know how you'd measure that speed. That is some fast, don't you think? I mean, that dog was probably doing 100 miles per hour flying out of that hole, and that bear was probably too far behind it. And for all that to go down and go in slow motion, register what's going on in slow motion, that's some fast reaction time from adrenaline. Holy shit, hey? Crazy. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. On that note, made me think about that episode of my life. And remember, the lessons learned from that for me, my gut knew that thing took a right. How? I don't know. But my gut knew the bear took a right when everything was going straight. My gut told me he's in that pile of logs, guaranteed. My gut said he's in there without knowing. But then the dog went around it, no growling, no barking, and I thought kept on going up the hill. That's where I got screwed. That's where I got screwed. But now that I know what I know from learning in lifetime, now I know no matter what, if your gut tells you a message, it's correct, no matter what. But I don't know anybody who would have went against the dog not barking and going apeshit. So that was a real honest screw up. It's a pretty tough one to ignore. You know what I mean? Like, how did that dog not start barking? You gotta be kidding me. There's a wounded frickin' monster bear right there waiting to whack me. So I don't know what happened. I guess maybe, I don't know what happened. The scent of the bear went around the log. He started to go uphill, and then it was too hard. He didn't, because he had a hole in his guts. For all the, I forgot to tell you, he just had a hole in his guts. He wasn't dying. He would eventually have died from that, but he was angry and he was sore, and I guess he didn't want to go up that steep hill. So he probably went to go up the hill, circled around, and then dug his way into those fallen trees and laid there waiting. And then the dog probably followed the scent of the bear around the logs, which means the scent was probably going from right to left, which means the dog wouldn't have smelled the live bear in the pile until he got around and went in. And then he was in for the surprise of his life, and it was game on. I guess that's probably what must have happened, because normally dogs just go, rah, 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 and they freak right. As most of you people who live rural with bears and dogs, you know what dogs do when it comes to bears, right? Anyway, there you go. Another chapter in the life of, right? I got some bear stories. Like I said, I don't know why I'm alive. I don't have a clue how I am alive. That's just once. I got a whole bunch. It got to the point for many years, for a handful of years, like I'd be driving 2 days up the Alaska Highway with my horses and all my shit, ready to go in the woods for a few months, and I don't know how many times driving up the highway by myself, just sitting there kind of daydreaming, wondering, is this the year? Is this the year I'm going to get chewed on? Shredded? I wonder if this is the year. It wasn't a question of whether or not. From my brain, it was always, is this the year? Is this going to be the season? Because so many times, man, I mean, so many frickin' times I should have been pushed out the butthole of a bear on a trail. I just cannot believe I'm alive. Just from all those multiple bear stories, let alone the other shit that's going on in my life out in the sea, the ocean. Anyway, there you go. But I like to share those stories to share with people to give you courage to listen to your sixth sense, your gut instincts. I've been trying to push that nonstop. Have I not? Listen to your guts at all cost. They're not wrong in life. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the topic, the scenario. Like I said, it could be a relationship, a job, whether or not you're going on that road trip or camping over there, or today you're going to go offshore or not. Everything. Everything. Man, it looks like somebody took a shit on these things. Hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute. Leaving tomorrow, going back up into Grizzly country tomorrow. Can't believe Sarah's a hunter. Just can't believe it. It's so bizarre. This is so bizarre. So bizarre. Now, mark this as red. What do we got? The red-haired giants. To Mr. Hunting Guy / Steve. You be guy or guide? Well, I heard you reading a story about the Kandahar giants in Afghanistan told you by some military guy. Well, I do want to inform you that these things are / were real. If you ever look up any information in regards to the Lovelock Caves in Lovelock, Nevada, you'll read about the red-haired giants. When I was little, growing up, my mother would tell me stories about these giants and how they were cannibals. And they would eat us. My mother was a full-blooded Indian, Shoshone and Paiute. My Shoshone grandma came from the Battle Mountain, Nevada area, and my Paiute grandpa was from the Snake River area in Idaho. Then had been settled on or given the Duck Valley as a place to live per U.S. government. Well, anyways, the story goes, these red-haired giants would kidnap us, kill us, then eat us. My mom tells me our people got tired of this, so when they were asleep in their dwellings, which were caves, the warriors put brush and wood in their entrances and burned them to death. Now, I thought these were just stories to scare me before I went to bed so that I would behave myself, but when I was a truck driver in the Bay Area, I used to listen to Art Bell, and they had a guy talking about the Lovelock Caves and the red-haired giants, and some of the bone and skull artifacts are at the University of Reno and some other museum outside of Lovelock. The giants found there were 8.5 to 10 feet tall. Now, I must tell you, these giants are different than the Bigfoot people, and I heard were enemies to each other also. I've heard stories of other tribes banding together with the Bigfoot to kill these red-haired giants. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Alfred. Native name, Blackfish. Use my first name or NDN name. Oh, shit. And then he went on to post a link to, quote, this ancient legend of giants in Nevada will blow your mind. It's www.onlyinyourstate.com/Nevada/giants-of-Lovelock-cave/AMP/. There you go. And then there's another email from the same guy connected to the original first email. My name is Alfred H. You can use my first name. Okay. So I live in northern Nevada on the Duck Valley Indian Reservation. And the United States Air Force wants to start flying and doing their war game exercises like bombing runs. They want to lower their flight level to 500 feet to 100 feet. This is absolutely absurd and will endanger the wildlife. I also might add our own stories of the Bigfoot living in the Owyhee Canyons, also the Jar Bridge, Nevada area. I do believe these beings still exist around here. I heard a story a while back some of our tribal members had went out in the Black Hills for a picnic to get some wood. While they were hanging out, a large log-like tree came flying out of the tree line, thrown like a spear, and nailed the bed of their truck. They packed up and split. I don't know who these people are, but my people, when you talk about that stuff, some of them, they get spooked and they don't want to talk about it. But my mother had been telling me stories since I was little. And the one thing she said, if you ever come across them, you just do your thing and they'll do theirs. And that's what's known with my people. P.S. I hate the fact that this might be happening and it might endanger these beings' lives as well as their own. Oh, meaning the bombing runs. All right, there you go. Well, I wonder if that was their crude, rough way of actually giving somebody a hand that wanted firewood. They threw the whole tree in the box of the truck for them. Whoops. Whoopsies, sorry. Right? Damn. Ooh, this is a long one. All right, I'm going in. I'm going to read this long email. It was found as unread. Please find my story attached. God bless Robert. 55 years. 55 years to read, share. Hi, Steve. Thanks to you, your great platform, your understanding, empathy, and support, I feel confident enough to share something with you that happened to me some 55 years ago. Complimentary plane. That's a loud one. I can't wait to get in the woods, man. I can't wait to get away from people. It was like it was an hour ago, so vivid is the memory. When you read it, you'll understand why, and here we go. My name is Robert. I live in Wales now, but was born and raised in the Midlands of England, southern Staffordshire to be precise. I lived in a small village of 30 homes and a small primary school, surrounded on all sides by huge swaths of agricultural land, given over to grazing for dairy cattle and wheat and barley. In amongst the fields were large islands of deciduous woodland, remnants of an old ancient forest that once covered the whole area. As a youngster, I spent all my waking moments with my friends playing outdoors in those fields and woods. We knew where every bird's nest was, and all had huge collections of bird eggs. It was legal then. We built elaborate dens in the woods, on the ground and in the trees. In the fields, when the combines had finished their work in late summer, we would build huge structures with the straw bales. We made forts and manned the ramparts, fighting off Comanche raiding parties with our wooden Winchesters one day, shooting our homemade bows and arrows at attacking Roman legions the next. We would pull clumps of stubble from the harvested wheat field, mold the earth on the base, and use them as stick grenades to throw at German tanks as they burst through the hedgerows. We were experts at bushcraft, foraged for edible plants, harvested and butchered rabbits, wood pigeon, and partridge. We had no wolves, bears, moose, or mountain lions in our woods, only rabbits, squirrels, weasels, stoats, S-T-O-A-T-S, stoats, foxes, and badgers. The only dangerous encounter I had with a critter was when I was attacked by a demented squirrel 30 feet up a birch tree, which, when I mistook its dray for I thought you meant gray, maybe you meant McGray, for a magpie nest and reached in for an egg. We didn't just play there in those fields and woods, we were educated there, and we learned more about the real world and what really matters in life than we ever learned in school. Bingo! For us, the woods were benign, welcoming, friendly and safe. But for me, that was all to change. One June day in 1967. I turned 16 that year, and I must admit I had not been down in the woods for a long time. My days of fighting Comanches and building dens were over. I'd been lured away by beer and girls. Oh, I hate it when that happens. I still remained a nature lover and spent time plotting bird nests on elaborate maps and photographing them. Collecting eggs was illegal by then, and I'd become a nature nerd, really. So on that June day, I was interested when my dad, who was home for lunch, told me that he had seen a pair of kestrels flying out of the bluebell wood, and that he thought they had a nest there. We called it the bluebell wood because in early spring it was carpeted with them. The perfume was so intense that when the wind was in the right direction, you could smell the scent in our school playground nearly a mile away. I had nothing planned that afternoon or any other afternoon, to be honest, and I decided to take a look. When my dad went back to work, I grabbed his Carl Zeiss binoculars and headed out. He had acquired them from a German tank commander 22 years earlier. They were beautifully crafted with fantastic optics, but they weighed a ton. I headed down the lane past our school and darted through a gap in the hedge, then headed out due east on a track that edged a large wheat field. On my left was a tall 8-foot hedge, mainly hawthorn, topped with honeysuckles and interspersed with dog roses, crab apples, and sycamore. It was a warm and dry day. It hadn't rained in 10 days, and I scuffed up dust from the track as I walked. The wheat was thigh-high and just turning yellow. The hedge was alive with insects and bees feeding off the huge foxgloves that towered over me. It was a great day for a walk. I'd gone about 750 yards when the hedge and trail turned due north, and I stood on top of a rise and looked down towards the bluebell wood. It shimmered in the afternoon heat. I was looking at its southern edge. The wood itself was about 250 yards wide, but extended northwards for about a mile. On either of its longer edges were deep drainage ditches and barbed wire with loads of brambles. Access from the sides was impossible. Access from the sides was impossible. I was heading for the only real access point, and as I stared at the wood, I made out the double-trunked beech tree on the left corner. Even now, it still looked like a sliver pirate ship to me. It had two smooth and silver. Okay, first it was sliver, now it's silver. Let me do that sentence again. Even now, it still looked like a silver pirate ship to me. It had two smooth and silver trunks. On the left-hand trunk were carved all the initials of all the kids who had ever played there. My granddad's name was there, my dad's name was there, my name was there, and as I walked down the hill towards the wood, I thought how I had carved my name there some 8 years before, but no names have been carved there since. Kids had already stopped playing outside anymore. Now that TV was in color and had more than 2 channels, they would rather stay in and watch the Flintstones and the Monkees. Signs of worse things to come. I entered the wood at the left corner, patting the trunk of the beech tree as I walked past. I had to make my way to the right-hand side of the wood. That's where the kestrel's nest was, about 250 yards in, located in a tall silver birch. There was a pathway on that side, about 20 yards in from the brambles and the drainage ditch, and ran parallel to both of them. It used to be well worn, but was overgrown now, but still discernible. And as I made my way toward it, I saw the large mounds of earth in the right-hand corner of the wood. It was a badger's set, but we had never seen a live one there. I found the path and walked deeper into the wood. And to the right of the path, the trees and bush were quite sparse, but to my left and the center of the wood, the undergrowth was dense and impenetrable. It was there that we would enter on our hands and knees and build our dens out of the way of prying eyes. I stopped on the path. All around me there were furtive noises of small birds in the bushes, and ahead of me a blackbird sang high in a tree. There were insects everywhere, buzzing away. The whole place is alive. It felt great to be back again, surrounded by nature. I carried on, and in a few minutes I found myself right where I needed to be. I knew that to my right and about 5 yards in from the wood's edge would be the silver birch and the potential kestrel's nest. I stopped and turned on the path and faced out towards the right-hand edge with my back to the dense central undergrowth. There was a gap in the trees there, and I could see out across the field and made out another wood about half a mile away. My eyes searched for the silver birch, and I found the white and black trunk just to the right of the gap. I followed the trunk skyward, and I could just make out a cluster of twigs and branches that could be a nest. To get a better look, and for the first time that day, I grabbed my binoculars, held them up to my eyes, and I turned the focus wheel. Then everything changed. I was overcome instantly by a disgusting smell. It was strong. It smelt of ammonia. Just the smell you get when mucking out an old pig pen. Dank, rotten straw and piss. It was acrid and burned my nose. My eyes were watering. I lowered the binoculars and looked down at them. My first thought was my frickin' sister had smeared something disgusting on them as a prank. And as I studied them, I suddenly realized that there was no sound. Nothing. The blackbird had stopped singing, the insects had stopped buzzing. There was a deathly, unearthly silence. I was beginning to panic. I tried to look up to what was going on. The panic became a dreadful terror when I realized I could not move. It was like someone had wrapped my upper body in a heavy, icy blanket, like sleep paralysis. I was instantly overcome with a fear that was overwhelming. I felt like a fly in a spider's web. I felt almost entombed. Then the terror came in waves, as behind me I sensed something moving. It felt about 20 feet away, and it was moving and growing. The pig pen smell had gone now, and I smelled something like burning metal, like a smithy or a forge. There was a distinct humming, like an electric motor, not loud, but it was there. My head was spinning. There were lights in my eyes. I felt giddy. I felt sick. My mind was going. Then the mind speak, for want of a better word, started. And I was hit by a wave of hatred, loathing, disgust, and pity. My head was full of these thoughts. Whatever this thing was, it hated me with a vengeance. It is difficult to describe the feeling, but I felt so insignificant, so pathetic. This thing wanted me to feel this way. I was trying to stay sane. Another wave of mind speak. A sense of overwhelming and ancient power. I was still staring down at my binoculars, and I could see my fingers were white from gripping them so tight. I was struggling to breathe. The mind speak / projection still came in bursts. I know whatever it was now wanted me to turn around, and I felt my right foot starting to move by itself. As it moved, I felt a reduction in the weight of my shoulders for a moment. The right foot moved for a few moments, and each time I felt less intense pressure on me. Then my left foot moved, and the pressure eased again as my body turned sideways to the right, and I knew what I had to do. As I faced right, back down the way I'd come, I knew I had one chance. I was still staring down at the binoculars, but could just make out in my right eye a sort of shimmering, like the surface of a lake. And it was now or never, and as the pressure eased again, I bolted. I ran like the wind. Behind me, there was a pandemonium. My head was booming. There was like electric discharge in the air. There was like a light fog all around me, and what seemed like a mile away, I could just make out the blackbirds singing. My heart was pounding. My feet seemed to hardly touch the floor. My calves were burning. I looked up for the first time, and I could make out the silhouette of the beech tree 100 yards or so away. And I had an awful stabbing pain in my chest. Not a heart attack. Not now, please. Overhanging branches clipped my face. Behind me there was a distant chaos. A weak wave of mind speak hit me, but I felt I had escaped. It felt like I was bursting out of a bubble. All the wood came alive again as I rushed past the old beech tree and burst out of the wood onto the track. With the high edge to my right now, I ran up the hill. It was agonizing, but I couldn't stop. My legs burned. I was gasping for air. My chest was in agony. And at the top of the rise, I had to stop. I quickly looked behind me. Nothing followed me, thank God. I was bent over, my right arm leaning on an old fence post, and as is stared down at the old binoculars, I realized the sharp pain in my chest was caused by them banging into me as I ran. I even managed to smile for a split second. I got my breath back, composed myself as best I could, and I turned to look back at the bluebell wood. I was tempted to use the binoculars again, but honestly, Steve, I really didn't want to see what might have been there. The wood still shimmered in the afternoon heat, but it didn't look the same anymore. I ran home, constantly looking over my shoulder as I did so. I ran through the gap in the hedges, past the school, along the lane, ran up our drive, burst through the back door, slamming it behind me. I flew up the stairs and lay down on my bed. My mind was swirling. I didn't sleep for days after that. I kept a light on at night, and I still do to this day. Suffice it to say, that was the last time I went to the Bluebell Wood. I tried to rationalize it at first. Maybe I had a panic attack and a migraine while standing in some dog shit. No. The whole intense episode had only taken a minute or so. Then I just tried to forget about it and put it to the back of my mind as best as I could. It was the recent video Scott Carpenter's that showed what looked like a portal that brought the memories flooding back. His description seemed very, very familiar. I told my daughter only last week, and she urged me to tell you, as it may help others come to terms with their own experiences and help them prepare in some way. Whatever that thing was, it was angry, powerful, seemed ancient somehow, and very real. Steve, it is my view I'm only here now because I had my back turned to it. And being only 16 and as fit as a butcher's dog, I could run faster than most. There's certainly something out there in the wilderness, in the woods, in the mountains, something we don't understand and something we are not being told about. I did not see an 8-foot hominid that day. I tried not to see anything, but there could have been one right behind me. There's definitely something there, and it was terrible. And as for all those morons who walk into the woods at night knocking on trees or whooping into the wilderness, I pray for them. Because one day, when they least expect it, they may come face to face with what they are searching for. At that moment, their lives will change instantly and forever, and they will utterly shit themselves. And as we all know, all of us who have suffered these encounters, you may be able to remove the stain from your underwear, but you can never remove the stain from your soul. There's a quote. Thanks again, Steve, for all you're doing. One day I'm sure the truth will come out, and I'm sure that it'll be both incredible and mind-blowing. There are a few decent guys like yourself, Scott and Dave, who are leading the charge, and I'm sure all your hard work and dedication to others will pay off in many ways. Keep up the great work. Stay steadfast, stay strong, and stay safe. Best wishes, Robert. What a very well-written account of what happened to you in your life, Robert, and I'm sorry it took so long to find it, but I did. It's funny, you know, our senior population were taught how to write, you know, properly. Remember, that they come from the age of writing letters to family members. Remember those days, some of you? And there you go. In the UK, where we've had many people emailing us, email me and tell me they're not in the UK. Sorry to burst your bubble. They're there. I wonder how many people on here might have maybe possibly been from that same area back in the day or even today, and they have the same shit going down, I wonder. I'll bet you there's somebody, right? The reach we have now is incredible. It blows me away, man. You know, as you guys know, I'm always by myself, right? By myself here, by myself in the ocean. Well, a couple of people, whatever, but by myself in the woods. And it's sometimes just the odd time I get that kick in the head of, hey, people from all over the world are here. Like when Sarah's dad went into town on the other side of Canada to a small town to buy something, farm equipment, had his How to Hunt t-shirt on, and somebody said, hey, how do you know this? Watching the channel, listen to all you, right? Everybody's listening to each other, learning. Thank God. Thank God. But there you go. Strong patterns nonstop. Excuse me, got some lessons in there today, I hope. Some handy information to pass on to others. Hopefully your children, about the sixth sense in your gut always being right. Right? Always being right. Anyway. Going to end on this one. I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go cheat and get a round bale. I'm going to throw a round bale over the fence for the horses to chew on while we're gone to help give the kind lady who's house sitting, make it easier on her. And then it's time to pack. Everything's packed already. Got all the gear packed up and ready to go. Just what I got to do now. Grab a round bale, load the truck, get some more chicken feed, and then I already got hunt licenses, got the tags yesterday, got more ammo yesterday. And then go to bed, try to sleep, and out of here early in the morning and start driving. We're going to have the Starlink hooked up in the truck. I'll be able to still do what I'm doing the whole time we're gone. And another for all you hunters, also I now have all of my past Tech Geek. I have all of my videos from all of the hunting apps are created. I got all the lesson videos, and it kind of makes me cringe now. It's like they're almost 10 years old, right? It's like, oh my God. So I'm going to recreate a lot of the knowledge lessons, and they're all going to be put into an online hunting course to help people save money and become successful without any sponsorship of any way. Isn't that a beautiful thing? So I'm going to teach everyone how to do it the right way, the cheap way, the efficient way, and become successful, and you can pass those skills on to your children. Right? So I'll be doing that. And then, yeah. And I'll continue to share everybody's voices. And then just keep going forward, right? Just keep going forward and just slamming the truth in the faces of the world nonstop. That's what we've been doing, and it's working. We're all the way around the planet. Just keep bucking into it. You're like, no, you're not going to shut me up. You're not going to shut us up. It's not going to happen. Then we're going to keep pumping out the truth non-stop until I finally get pushed out the butthole of a grizzly bear somewhere or whatever happens. There you go. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Sarah will continue with her store unless I guess a bunch of people are getting orders in before tomorrow. So you've got I think you have until probably 3:30-ish today, Pacific time, to get your order in before they impose the 35% increase on the value of the items being shipped tomorrow. Anything going to the United States. But her decals, she said the decals are safe. So anyway, there you go. Message sent. Be safe and make sure you do what you love to do, all right? And take somebody with you. Back later.